Levarme la moustache en la capucha. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiquipuletica. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiquipuletica. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiquipuletica. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiquitacatique. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiquipuletica. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiquipuletica. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiquipuletica. Sani levarme la moustache en la capucha.
What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today I'm back after a long layoff, long deserving layoff, and I come back to the craziest stuff that could ever happen. Dan's fan Snyder has sat up here and gotten himself only a $10 million fine, and he now had to assign his wife, Tanya Snyder, as now co-CEO of the Washington football team. And it's quite strange to me how a lot of this stuff works out. I'm going to talk about this in depth because it's something where I feel that when it comes to certain people within the spectrum of the NFL, they're treated certain ways while others are treated completely different. Now, here's my problem with what happened. Fan Snyder basically got away. Now, women's rights is supposed to be the thing, but it seems like when it comes down to women's rights, the spectrum of women's rights is only important the darker the complexion of the person gets. And I understand that a lot of y'all probably didn't think that I would say this, but it's obvious. Because we're talking about, prior to this coming out, the talk around the league circles was all about the possibility of Deshaun Watson sitting up there and not being able to play football for 2 entire seasons. Now, mind you, Deshaun Watson, the situation Deshaun Watson is in is a situation in which he basically got in trouble for a paid service. And I'm going to go in depth with that because a lot of the reporting that has been happening has been made out as though this man didn't pay for the service that these women are now accusing him of. But I'm going to go in depth with that. But I want to focus on this whole Fan Snyder thing and how the NFL always finds a way to protect certain types of people. Because one of my big issues is that why is Deshaun Watson put out there and put in a position, even though he doesn't play for the Washington football team, why is he put in a position at where this man can lose his career because of something that is completely minor in regards to what Fan Snyder was doing or what was alleged he did? The fact that he gets to just name his wife CEO and that's enough, all of us know Tanya is not getting ready to run the Washington franchise. We know this. We know this. Because she isn't really that involved in the team in the first place. You know, they put her as the head of the WOW organization and all this type of stuff, but she's not really that involved in the day-to-day operations of this team. And not only that, what qualifies her for that? Because she's the owner's wife? Now, my big issue, again, is that here we are again, another owner who gets a slap on the wrist when what he's doing is completely detrimental to the NFL as a brand. Remember when Michael Vick was going through the whole dog fighting thing? How many of y'all know that Michael Vick didn't even go to jail for dog fighting? He went to jail for perjury because he said he didn't know that they were breeding dogs. That's what he went to jail for. He went to jail for perjury because he knew they were breeding dogs. And he knew that they were breeding dogs, but he didn't know that they were breeding them necessarily to fight. But he was funding it. This is where we have our issue when it comes to the NFL and them being fair when it comes to stuff. So now you got Snyder who sat up there and took advantage of employees. An employer taking advantage of employees. You know why it doesn't mean much to the NFL? Because the NFL as a whole has always taken advantage of its employees. As in the NFL players. So what would make you think that somebody like Snyder, when an allegation like this comes about, that somehow, some way, they're going to see him as wrong? Let's talk about Bob Kraft and how this man was caught up in an FBI sting regarding human trafficking and child sex workers. Robert Kraft was caught up in that. A FBI sting. And he was out of it. No problem, no charges, nothing. Then let's talk about some of the players that got away with stuff. Josh Brown was destroying his wife. Destroying this woman. Beating the living life out of this woman. And it wasn't until he retired that all of a sudden all the allegations came out. Let's talk about Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger had a sexual assault allegation against him. This man didn't miss a lick of football. And I think he might have been suspended for, I think he got suspended for this. It was probably like, I think 2 games or something like that. And even when he got suspended, it was conduct detrimental to the team or the league. It was something that was like nothing. But again, we got this spectrum over here of Deshaun Watson, who's basically being beat up on, talked about him missing 2 years of football because of whatever is being talked about, because what it sounds like is that he was getting happy endings, paying for happy endings. My other big issue with the Deshaun Watson situation is that those allegations come about once he makes it known he does not want to be in Houston. So how does that happen? And here we are again, where we're talking about the NFL and how they treat certain players and then how they treating other players and owners. This is the 3rd time we've seen an owner get into some major trouble and basically nothing practically happens. And like I said, it's so crazy because to me it seems like women's rights only matters as the complexion of the person gets darker. Deshaun Watson is put out there as though he's a predator. He's a rapist and things like that for a situation that he paid for. And then you're talking about Snyder, who was taking advantage of employees. Taking advantage of employees. And the best excuse he can come out with is, I didn't know. Or like Shaggy used to say, wasn't me. I mean, are we not seeing what's happening here? Why does women's rights only matter with the type of person that it is and not who the person it is? It's wrong for an employer to take advantage of an employee in that manner. And the fact that everybody's looking at it as though, okay, well, yeah, he got a slap on the wrist. But think about how Deshaun Watson is being treated right now. Let me explain. So I'm going to go a little in depth of what they call, there's this thing out there called freelance massage therapists. And I'm going to talk about this because you guys have to have some understanding of what is happening. So you have massage therapists that work in some of these legal companies. So you see them at like Massage Envy and places like that, right? But then you have freelance massage therapists. And these are the people that you can find on Craigslist and all these other little sites. Hell, you can even find them on Facebook and Instagram and all that. And what they do is that they travel to people to provide services that they probably wouldn't get the full price or benefit of if they worked in one of these massage places, these massage parlors. Now, the thing about this is that what also comes along with these freelance massage therapists is that a lot of times, a lot of them doesn't make a lot of money. There are some that sit up there and they practically make nothing. I remember this was like a long time ago. I got to go to an NFL player's house. In fact, it was running back Jamal Lewis when he was in Baltimore. And they had a big old party there. And it was all these women there. The crazy thing about that party is that at least 1/3 of the women that were there were freelance massage therapists. Now, the ironic part of that is that none of these women knew who the actual football players were and who the people that was just there that weren't football players. There were a lot of women who would come up to me asking me, "Are you a football player?" And I would just say yes. Because, I mean, why not? You know, but it was so strange at how 1/3 of these women were all freelance massage therapists. There was one particular one that I talked to, and I talked to her for a very long time because I was really interested in this freelance massage therapist thing. And I kept railing off the joke of happy endings. And I remember her answer very clearly to that. She said, it's only that. I'm not doing anything other than that. Not only that, if I do that, I can make up to $600 to $900 a session, and on top of that, all I'm doing is just doing that, and that's it. I'm just giving him a happy ending, and that's it. I've made $900 off of giving someone a happy ending. Imagine that. Imagine that. And what happens is that these massage parlors, they can't really do that because it's illegal. But a freelance massage therapist could do it. Because why? It's one, in the privacy of someone else's home. Now, what y'all don't understand and know is that a lot of these freelance massage therapists, they all, not all of them, but a majority of them actually do the happy endings so they can get paid more. That's why when everybody's like, Deshaun Watson and he was finding these massage therapists on Craigslist. They were Craigslist massage therapists. Yes, that's true. That is true. That's where you're going to find these massage therapists, on Craigslist. You're going to find them on Facebook. You're going to find them on Instagram. That's where you're going to find them. And a lot of them do provide the happy ending services, but it does cost. So think about that. This man paid for that service, and now he's out to be some type of predator after paying someone. Because you know why? A lot of these people feel that they're going to make more money because they're not making that much money in the first place. Because not everybody that they service wants a happy ending. You may find one, you may find two, but understand that that is not the case. So, when it comes down to a lot of things, there are some things that's not fair. And the Deshaun Watson situation is not fair. Especially when you compare it to Snyder, who sat up there and took advantage as an employer of his employees. But guess what? He would never find that wrong. You know why? Because the NFL has been doing it forever. And for them, it's business as usual. $10 million to a woman's organization. The end. That's how they look at women's rights. As sad as that is, think about that. The person that's the biggest villain paid for his service, while the guy who isn't viewed as the biggest villain took advantage of his employees. This has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.